Hey, welcome back. You know, over the weekend, of course, I retreat to Alberta. That's where I get my right-wing batteries charged. So I missed the Occupy Bay Street Bolshevism. But my friend Joe Warmington was out here. Joe, you were in the thick of it. You were marinated in Marxism on the weekend.
It was amazing. I always wanted to be 1917 in Moscow, and there's some people there that were trying to get us there.
Well, you brought a bunch of photos, and we've got 3 little video clips. That's enough to fill our whole segment, so let's jump right in. Here's the first video recording of someone talking about his ideological ambitions. Let's roll that first clip.
People should understand we're starting a war today. We're not like that. We're talking about building a mass movement.
So slowly but surely building a mass movement to eventually take over and implement communism.
Yes.
Okay.
Communism. I thought he would laugh at that when Chris Sims said that.
Very honest, and that's all this was a Marxist movement. There were signs that said that. Are you the Trotsky in this debate, or how does this work?
That's right.
I saw one sign that said Karl Marx was wrong, and I thought, oh, well, that's good. They really get it. They said, no, Trotsky was the one that should have got it.
So this is argument what kind of communism they like. Let's roll the second clip. I mean, you know, he said this is a war. He said the word war. He said movement, but war. There's a militant edge. Here's another guy who has. I'm not going to call it a threat, but just shows what he thinks normal is. Roll the second clip, please.
What is your book about?
It's about fighting greed.
You don't. Do you mean to actually kill people?
Not in the literal sense. My idea is that we should put the ball in Switzerland.
That's just sort of weird. He's got a book called Kill the Rich, a picture of a guy being hanged. Chris Sims, our intrepid reporter, says, do you really want to kill him? No, just put him in Switzerland. Yeah. I don't know if this guy's insane or crazy, and if he is, I don't want to make too much fun of him, but maybe he's not just crazy, maybe he's just a Marxist. What do you think, Joe?
Well, I think he's a Marxist, but I think what I want to know is the chapter after you've killed the rich and you have their money, then we don't want to kill the rich anymore. Or that's a sequel.
Right, because we're rich now.
Yeah.
So I don't like the rich when it's other people, but when it's me, I like being rich.
Well, that's a good way to do it. I like that.
You know what, Joe? You know, they have this phrase, the 99% and the 1% richest. Anyone in Canada is pretty much the global 1%. I mean, we're just lucky to be here. So,
well, the 99% were in the food court, the Eaton Center this weekend, where most of the people were. They weren't in this park.
You know what? Real protesters standing against the masses are in Tiananmen Square and in places like Iran, not decked out in the finest fashions.
And there's brave people in Afghanistan, which I just returned from. They ought to try and go and trade spots with them.
Yeah.
They would gladly come here.
Absolutely. We got one more video clip, and then we'll go to the photos that you yourself took. Roll that last clip, if you would.
And who am I speaking to?
You're speaking to Sun News Network.
Good, because that news station gives me apoplexy. I enjoy the stimulation.
On behalf of my friend Ezra Levant, I'm sure the feeling is mutual.
Well, I was ecstatically happy that they seemed so upset about this demonstration. I thought, yes, this is good. He's been on every night talking about this. So
you do watch?
Yes.
So it's mostly for the stimulation?
I need to know, I like to know what everybody's thinking, including people I don't agree with.
Joe, I got to admit, I like that woman. She seems to have a sense of humor. Yeah. She believes in getting more than one point of view. She's laughing about it. She seems, I mean, she may well be a Marxist, but she doesn't seem angry, and at least she watches the Sun News Network instead of like those who want to censor us.
I got to tell you something. The Sun News Network is the #1 network in this park, and it's all on these crazy little machines that the corporate world is making called BlackBerry and Apple. Yeah, so
well, we covered it better than anyone. We covered it, and we asked everyone for their point of view. We didn't whitewash it like the CBC, where they only chose, you know, happy people. We showed some of the angry people too. Now, you took a bunch of photos yourself. I haven't seen these photos yet. I understand you've got 7 of them. So let's just roll the 7 of them, and you can give a little monologue about what each one of them stands for. This one looks just like, what's that? Where's that? What street is that?
Well, that's on King Street, right outside the park. You can see the police are, you know, they're just there. It's nothing like the G20. Everybody's really calm. They've allowed them to take over the park.
Yeah, no riot gear. Everyone's on bikes, happy.
They've done a great job. And there's the campground Toronto.
So is he the Boy Scouts or?
Well, yeah, you know, we'll just go down and camp. I want to have like I Love Banks kind of weekend down there and see how long we last. You know, but there's no permits for.
Was it as garbagey as in Wall Street? Like it was? Is it really unsanitary? Was it not there long enough for that?
No, Toronto sent in on time and a half people on the weekend to clean it up. The public Works people have gone in and cleaned it up. So it's a terrible city.
Oh, lots of media there. Look at all
the
those.
CBC to the right there. I did it for you, Ezra, under the source. That's a little censorship there, covering up the sea. There we go. There we go.
It still says Sun there.
Yeah.
You know what? It looks like there's almost as many journalists as there were. How many? If you add up the cops and the journalists, Joe, were there more protesters or more cops and journalists?
I think there's about the same.
About the same.
Pretty equal, but you can see they're on the grass. I think there should be tickets for that.
Oh,
but,
yeah. Next, let's go to the next photo. I think we go stand up for your rights. Well, I'm for that. Maybe we just have a different definition of rights. I believe in freedom of speech and property rights. Joe, what kind of rights were these folks standing up for?
Well, I think what their rights are is that they're right, and it's just about them. And you know what? That's on. You know, I like these masks.
Yeah,
here.
no, these masks. This was sort of a Guy Fawkes mask. Now, Guy Fawkes wanted to blow up the British Parliament and kill everyone there. So I'm not sure if he's a hero. He's sort of an anti-democratic figure, I think. Why was he chosen by these folks?
Well, it's like this guy with the sword here. You can see the sword.
Is that a sword?
Yeah.
Boy, that's a registered weapon, I thought.
Yeah, and he's wearing black, but the police were he said he was going to a Halloween party. So, but during the G20, his face would hit the sidewalk, I guarantee you.
Yeah.
But you can see that people come in Canada, get out of Afghanistan, coming this way.
Yeah.
So there's our pictures right there.
Well, listen, summing up, you were down there. I mean, you made it through the pot haze and everything like that. How would you sum this up in one sentence? Well-meaning, bad meaning, but impotent, goofy, ragtag, motley crew, Marxist. What phrase or two would you use to sum up the whole thing?
I would say that I think it's unemployed palooza, and I think it's
unemployed palooza.
Yeah, I think.
Did you see a lot of government unions there, like PSAC or QP?
No, because that's you know why they're not there. I'll tell you, Ezra, why they're not there. Because that's who these people are going to be mad at next. The ones that get the 12% over 3 years,
right.
And the average person. But listen, this has not resonated with the middle class, the working people. I like all those people in the park.
Yeah.
No problem with them at all.
Yeah.
The problem is that they would be doing that anyway.
Yeah.
And they've all got together and they're having some fun.
Joe Warmington, you're a better man than me, venturing right into the thick of it, and it looks like you
have fans there.
Oh, yeah,
hey, I'll go get her number for you. Yeah.
Joe Warmington, thanks for being
Good to
here,
hear,
my friend. Hey,